The following clip is from the North to South Show, live every Monday and Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, where we talk SEC football everything. We'd love to have you out next show, but for now, hit the like button down below, hit the subscribe button, and enjoy this clip. The best versus the rest. Now, this is something that I've started, and I've named it this because I think the SEC is the best conference. Like, why would I be doing a segment? Of course, the SEC is my favorite conference, but why would I be doing a whole show on SEC football if I did not think the SEC was the best conference? So I call this segment the best versus the rest, where I break down an SEC non-conference game for the next season. So the game that I'm going to start out with today is I'm going to do Miami versus Alabama. Miami versus Alabama, first game of the week, first week, the biggest game or second biggest game. It would be absurd for me to say that's the biggest game of the week unless Miami comes out and gets put in the AP poll at like 2 and Alabama gets put at 1, because the best game of that week is going to be Clemson and Georgia, which I'm going to break down, I'm pretty sure, on Wednesday's show. I think that's why I'm going to prepare for that. But looking at Alabama versus Miami, I'm pretty sure this game is happening in Atlanta, Georgia. The kickoff game. Anytime Alabama takes on a non-conference opponent for any kickoff game, it is always usually a blowout for Alabama. I'm pretty sure if I go back, the last one that I could think about was the Florida State one for Alabama. Like, that kickoff game, that was an absolute blowout against Florida State. You look, and Florida State was the 3 seed at the time. Now, did Florida State finish out as the 3 seed, or the number 3 team in all of college football at the end of that season? No, not even close. But still, you're going up against the number 3 team. Not to say that Miami is a bad team, but I do think that this is definitely a easy winnable game for Alabama, just because I know how Nick Saban works. I know how Nick Saban prepares his guys for the first games, and they usually come out firing in these games. But what is Miami going to look to do, and how is Miami looking this year? If they were, let's just say, go out and upset Alabama, what would Miami have to do to be able to do that? And I'm going to kind of be previewing this game and breaking it down. How will Miami do against, what is Miami going to take advantage of? That's what I'm going to go with here. Instead of looking at what will Miami have to do, what is Miami going to have to take advantage of in this game to be able to come out with a W and push themselves up in the rankings an awful lot and push Alabama down low? Because I guarantee you, if Alabama loses in this game, the number one narrative that will be coming out of that game will be the Alabama dynasty is over, which I think is crazy because this team is still loaded with talent. They're just young. So that's what Miami is going to look to really pinpoint and to really attack in this game. Bryce Young, sophomore quarterback, but barely saw any time last year. You saw him towards the end of some meaningless drives at the end of the game, but he did learn behind Mac Jones. I think Bryce Young is one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football, but again, he's still young, and young talent doesn't always mean that you're going to make the best decisions on the field, especially for your first game, your first nationally broadcasted game, because I'm guessing this game is going to be on ESPN or something like that. It'll be broadcast around the whole country. How are you going to do when the spotlight is all yours? How are you going to do when this team, this Alabama team, when people say the Alabama Crimson Tide, who's going to be the first guy that you think of? Bryce Young. How is he going to handle all of that? So that's something that I think is going to need to happen for Miami. Miami does lose a lot on the defense, and their linebackers are weak, but one thing that I think they're really going to focus on is making Bryce Young make quick decisions, because you got to force him to make some errors. If you go this whole game with Miami and do not turn over the ball once, there's no chance Miami can win the game. Miami is going to be looking for turnovers. They're looking to be able to put Bryce Young in positions to make those rookie mistakes or freshman mistakes. Even though he's not a freshman, he's still playing in his first season of play on field. So they're going to try to make him make mistakes early. Now we look at the offensive side of the ball, because you look at the offensive side of the ball for Miami, they pick up a big transfer in Charleston Rambo, who was a guy that I was hoping would come to my South Carolina Gamecocks, but he's a guy that I loved at Oklahoma, and I think he's a very talented guy out wide for him. You look at him, you look at Harley on Miami, the two guys on the out, I think that they're the guys that you're going to try to target early in this game for Miami. And how do I not talk about the best player on this team? How do I not talk about a Heisman candidate for this season, D'Eriq King, coming in? D'Eriq King has the mobility to change games. I'm not saying that he's like a Lamar Jackson, but this guy, D'Eriq King, can make his own plays, and he can make guys miss. And if you watch the Alabama spring game like I did, there was a lot of missed tackles in the secondary for Alabama. So that's something that you're definitely going to want to clean up. They're going to have D'Eriq King moving, especially the outside. Try to get him in those situations, those open field tackles that Alabama's going to have to make, because if Miami watched this tape from this Alabama spring game, they know that their tackling was not crystal sharp, or whatever you want to call it. So they're going to be looking to have D'Eriq King moving a lot in the pocket, and they're going to be going fast. Do not expect this Miami team to huddle up very much. They are going to go, they get a first down, they're going to snap the ball, and they're going to tire out this young and so-called inexperienced, because that's what they're kind of looking for here, this inexperienced Alabama defense. And if they start getting scores on the board and Alabama doesn't start scoring early, that's when you see Alabama start to get dejected, or whatever you want to call it. Now, I don't think Miami's going to win this game. I'll give you guys my score prediction for this game, but I am going to give some of my keys for Alabama to win this game, what they need to do. So first off, I have it here written in my notes, capital letters, play like Bama. Play like Bama. I think it is just a short and simple phrase that can go a long way, because if you do this, you're going to win every single football game. You look at the Alabama offense the last couple years, play like that, and you're going to be fine. Put up 40, 50, 60 points in a game, you're going to be just fine. But I can't just say play like Bama and you're going to go out and win. What's stopping me from going out and saying that Missouri should go out this year and play like Missouri and they should go win all their games? It just doesn't make any sense. Attack the middle of the field with your running back position. Brian Robinson, I think definitely the rushing game for him will be really, really huge in this game, because Miami's defensive line is weaker this season. They're losing Jalen Phillips, and they obviously don't have Rousseau coming back because he opted out last season. The linebacker position is the weakest for Miami right now. So you're going to really, really want to attack that weakness that Miami has there. Get your wide receivers. Do not be afraid to attack the middle of the field, especially with the tight end. Other things I have, rush the ball, obviously. I talked about that. Brian Robinson, just tire this defense out, and that's when you're going to have the passing game really, really open up. You don't want to rely this whole game on Bryce Young and his arm for his first game ever against a decent team. No discredit to Miami. Miami is a good team. They're not going to be the best team you see all year, but they're certainly not going to be the worst team you see all year. So you don't want to put the whole game in Bryce Young's hands for his first game at the helm at Alabama. Allow Brian Robinson and the offensive line and all that to work. Allow them to push the defensive line, which is weaker this season. Allow them to get to the linebackers, which again are weaker this season, and allow the running game to really develop in this game. Contain King and force everything to the middle of the field on defense. Again, I said it. They're big. Weapons on Miami are on the outsides, and they're at the quarterback position. If you keep everything inside, that includes D'Eriq King, do not allow him to scramble out, or even when he does rush, allow him to rush up the middle. You do not want him getting to the outsides, and just contain the wide receivers on the outside. Keep the game in front of you. I think that's a big thing for Alabama. Do not allow guys to get behind you, because that's when you're going to start having problems for Alabama. When you have the chance, get King on the ground, whether that's after he's past the line of scrimmage and he's already run 5 yards down the field and he's looking to run for a first down. When you have the chance to tackle him, and I think, again, an emphasis on this spring game, when you had the chance to tackle him, get the guy on the ground. D'Eriq King is not a guy that you want to have miss tackles, because he will go get those easy first downs, move it 15 plus yards, move it 20 plus yards, and suddenly you start to see Miami get in some scenarios where they're in the red zone in a 7-point game, looking to tie the game in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left, whatever you want to call it. And then Bryce Young has the whole pressure of the world on him to go and score, or else this game is going into overtime. So all in all, my score prediction in this game, I'm going 47 Alabama. I know that's high for a first game of the season, but I do think this Alabama offense, with, you look at Bryce Young, you look at Brian Robinson, you look at John Mechie, you look at Ajayi Hall, there's so much talent, Billingsley, so much talent on this offensive side of the ball. I think they're still going to be a really good team. So I am going to go a bit on the higher side. I'm going to say 47 points for Alabama, and then Miami, I'm going to go 28. I think they will score the ball a decent amount. I'm not saying that they're going to put it in the 30s, but especially against this young and somewhat inexperienced Alabama defense, who proved last year that they're not the best defense in the world. Like, they still got good guys. They really rely on the turnover, though. They're not going to limit Miami to under 10 points. So I'm going to go 28 points for Miami and a final score of 47 points for Alabama. So Alabama's winning that game 47-28.